All right, let's talk about something we've all experienced. You start a new Swift UI project, everything's clean, everything's simple, and then it happens. Your view starts to grow, and before you know it, you're staring at a giant, tangled mess of code. Sound familiar? Well, you are definitely not alone. Today we're going to dive into how to tame that beast using a pattern called MVVM. We're going from messy to maintainable, and trust me, it's going to make your life a whole lot easier.
Seriously, take a second and think about a project you're working on. I bet there's one view file that you just dread opening. You know the one I'm talking about, right? It's become this dumping ground for everything. State management, network calls, formatting logic, you name it. If that hits a little too close to home, then stick around. We are absolutely going to fix that. We're going to make coding fun again.
And look, this happens to everyone. It's a totally normal growing pain. But the real question is, why does it get so messy? Well, it's usually because our view is trying to wear too many hats. The UI code gets tangled up with business logic, maybe some networking stuff gets thrown in there, and suddenly it's just this big ball of spaghetti. And what happens then? Well, testing becomes a nightmare, finding a bug feels impossible, and just adding one tiny new feature can feel like a huge chore. But hey, don't sweat it. There is a much, much better way.
Okay, so here's our game plan. First, we're going to look at what makes a view so messy in the first place. Then, I'll introduce you to the star of the show, the MVVM pattern. We'll walk through a real refactor, step by step, and then we'll talk about all the awesome benefits you get. And by the end, you'll be all set to go and tackle your own code. All right, first up, the problem with messy views. Let's really dig into what happens when your view is doing way too much work.
Okay, so here we have a super common example. We'll call it the messy view. At first glance, it looks harmless, right? It's just a simple counter. But let's look a little closer. You see, we've got our state variables, like the count, right here. Then we've got all this logic for figuring out the status message, and then all our UI layout code, the VStack, the buttons. It's all just thrown into one big file. And yeah, it works, but imagine trying to test just the logic or trying to find a bug. It's a mess, and trust me, it only gets worse from here as the app grows.
So, how do we clean up that mess? Well, let's talk about the solution. Introducing the MVVM pattern. This is a professional-grade pattern for writing really clean, organized code.
So MVVM stands for Model View View Model. It's all about splitting your code into 3 jobs. Let's start with the first piece, the model. Think of the model as just the raw data, the pure information. It has zero idea what the UI looks like. So if you have an API that gives you user data, the codable struct you create, that's your model. It's simple, it's dumb, and it only cares about one thing, holding data.
Next up is the view. This one's pretty straightforward. It's the user interface. It's all the stuff the user actually sees and touches. Now, here's the crucial part. In a good MVVM setup, the view is also, well, kind of dumb. Its only job is to look pretty, display some data it's given, and tell someone else when the user taps a button. It should have basically zero business logic in it.
So if the model is the data and the view is the UI, who does all the work? That's the view model. Think of it as the bridge between the two. It's the brains of the operation. It takes the raw data from the model, prepares it so it's ready to be displayed, and it handles all the logic when the user interacts with the view. This is where all that messy code we saw earlier is going to live.
Okay, enough theory. Let's see this in action. It's time for the anatomy of a refactor. We're going to fix that messy view step by step.
So the very first thing we have to do is just look at our messy code and separate the responsibilities. On one side, we have all the UI stuff, right? The VStacks, the text, the buttons, just the layout. And on the other side, we have all the logic. How does the count change? What should the status message be? How does the reset button actually work? Right now, they're all mixed together. Our goal is to pull them apart.
Now this might sound like a lot of work, but I promise the process is actually super simple. It's really just 3 steps. First, create the model. Second, create the view model. And third, rebuild the view. That's it. Let's get to it.
Okay, step 1, the model. And look how simple this is. It's literally just a struct that holds our data. That's it. Notice what's not here. There's no UI code, no logic. It doesn't even import Swift UI. It's just plain, simple data. And that simplicity is what makes it so powerful and easy to work with.
Step 2 is where the real magic happens, the view model. This is where we take all that logic that was cluttering up our view and move it here. This new class now owns the model, and it contains all the rules, all the functions for changing the data. And see that add observable keyword? That is a huge deal in modern Swift UI. It's what lets our view automatically update whenever the data in here changes. It's awesome.
And finally, step 3, The big reveal. Our new, clean view. Just take a look at that. Compare this to what we started with. It is so much shorter, so much simpler, and way easier to read. Why? Because its only job now is to display properties from the view model and call functions on the view model. That's it. It's beautiful, isn't it?
Okay, so we did all that work. Was it really worth it? Let's talk about the payoff, the real-world benefits, because this is why separating your concerns really matters.
The improvements are huge across the board. Look at testability. Because all our logic is now in a view model, which is just a simple class, we can write unit tests for it super easily, without ever needing to deal with the UI. Then there's scalability. When you want to add a new feature, you're not wrestling with a giant file. You can just modify the view model. And finally, readability. This is a game changer for working on a team. Your code is just so much easier for everyone to understand.
So let's just recap what MVVM really gives us. We're talking cleaner code, which makes debugging way easier. We get logic that we can actually test, we get that beautiful separation of concerns, and all of this leads to code that can actually scale as your app grows. This is why it's such a standard pattern in the industry.
Okay, your turn. Let's talk about your first MVVM refactor. It's time to take what we've learned and put it into practice. And really, this quote says it all. The whole point is to make your code easier to scale, debug, and maintain. We're not doing this just to follow some abstract architectural rule. We're doing it to make our jobs easier and to build better, more robust apps in the long run. It's a practical solution to a very common problem.
So if you take away only one thing from our time together today, let it be this. Your #1 new skill should be refactoring logic out of your views. Seriously. If you can master that one concept, you are well on your way to writing much more professional, clean, and maintainable Swift UI code.
So, I'm going to leave you with a question. What's the first messy view you're going to refactor? I know you have one in mind, that one file that's been a thorn in your side. My challenge to you is to go open up that project, pick that view, and give this a shot. I promise you'll be amazed at the difference it makes. You can do this. Thanks so much for tuning in.